Hey everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Field. Last series we covered basics every athlete needs to know, right from building skills to mental strength. Now we go beyond and we bring in experts of the field. We have the pros right here. Today our special guest Mr. Jaidev Punjabi. He's a former tennis player turned into a coach who's about building lasting resilience and holistic tennis approach and passion for the game. And if our podcast is helping you in your athletic journey, hit like and subscribe and turn on the notification bell as we have more exciting topics coming your way. Thank you so much, sir, for being here.
Thank you.
The reason I wanted to understand what goes beyond the field, I have a very selfish reason for this. I wanted to understand when it comes to sport, what are the small things that we usually, because you guys are on the field, the coaches, the physios, the SNCs, you're on the field with the athletes. We are in the back end.
Yeah.
So my selfish is like I want to understand what goes into tennis that helps me to help my athletes a little better.
Okay.
So the first thing that I'd like to ask is, in India we usually see that coaches are considered as father figure for athlete. Like
Okay.
whatever they say that, okay, this whatever the coaches say is what they usually listen to.
Okay.
And in your journey also, your coach, Mr. CGV Naidu has played that part. Could you tell us a little more about them?
Uh, it's more like all coaches or a team of coaches should be the father figure rather than one coach. That was for me, Naidu sir was the father figure. But I missed out on a nutrition coach. I missed out on a strength coach. I missed out on all those departments which would actually help me develop as a good athlete. I was just depending on one person. And honestly, not one person can take care of an athlete or make an athlete. So that concept is now coming in India very slowly, I would say still. It's because of selfish reasons. Again, like coaches still want to hold on the athlete to them. Every coach or person involved with this child wants to be the highlight of that journey. That has to change. It has to be only of the athlete. So, of course, Naidu sir was a great coach. One of his very beautiful words that I always wouldn't forget ever is, he would say, no man stands tall when he bends down to help a child. So that was what Naidu sir was, known for. He was very selfless in his journey. He would do everything to help an athlete or to help us, develop. That's why he was a father figure to me. Yeah.
So, how did you got into tennis? I like to ask this question to every athlete because I know there's some inspiration that comes out of it.
Yeah, mine is also very inspiring as such, but it's a very funny story. My dad used to take me, had actually enrolled me for skating classes in Kantirwa Stadium at the age of 6 maybe. And he would take me every morning for my skating class, and I would be done with my skating class and he would have gone home or somewhere. So I had a gap of time till he comes to pick me up. And that time I used to watch tennis. I used to go after the skating class, walk around and hang around near the tennis court and watch those guys play. And every time dad would come to pick me, I would be like, I want to join tennis. And he would be like, okay, we will think of it. And I would be like, no, I want to join tennis. And one thing about me is I'm a stubborn person. So I would make sure till he got me a racket and put me on the tennis court, I wouldn't stop. That was the start of my tennis journey. That's how it started.
And at what point you felt that, you know what, I want to take this professional? It's no longer a weekend game for me.
Very early, very, very quickly. I'm a very stubborn person, like I told you. So I was I'm very goal oriented and very, what words would I say? Very clear in my mind with what I want to do from when I'm a child. So the moment I started competing, I was ranked Karnataka #1, under 10, under 12. I was very sure that this is what I want to do for my life. However, in those days, I had no idea of what I'm signing up for. It was just that I want to do this. And I don't even think my parents had an idea of what it would mean or how to take it forward. We were just doing it, that's it. And I was successful, so I was behind it without much knowledge. But that was the one thing I was very clear, because I know what I want to do. At any given time, I'm sure as a person, I want to do this, I want to do this. So I made tennis everything at a very young age.
Got it. You've often said that Federer has been an inspiration for you. How does that come up with?
So Federer is now, of course, off late, but in my days it was Becker, it was more of Edberg and those kind of guys, which actually got me more interested in the sport. Sampras came later, and Sampras' style of play would be very fascinating to me. So volleys, and of course Roger is someone like Sachin Tendulkar. Like any parent or any kid watches Sachin or watches Roger, they would want to pick up a racket or a bat. So that's Roger for you in tennis.
Got it. I've heard a lot that you have tennis is a rich people's game. What's your say on it? What do you think?
Definitely. Not only tennis, I would say any sport, because you want to make an athlete an all-round athlete. If you want to take up a sport professionally, again, it's if you want to take it up professionally, any sport, you need to develop an all-round athlete. To develop an all-round athlete, you need to have good amount of resources. Without a very good financial resource, which doesn't come with pressure, with goal orientation. It has to be free. It has to come easy to the kid, to the athlete. It shouldn't come as a pressure to the athlete. But an athlete needs a lot of financial resource. If you want to make a champion, if you want to make a pro, there's no second thought about it.
All right, got it. Okay. So when you were in that growing phase, you have seen tennis grow in the last 3-4 decades. How has the game changed from the 90s to 2000s to the current generation that you're playing?
One very evident and very easy to pick is physical. It's getting more and more physical. It's getting more and more about how much fuel you have in your tank. How stronger are you? So are you eating well? Are you sleeping well? Are you recovering well? Are you training well? Are you taking care of all the departments which should make you a good athlete in the first place? It's not that I know tennis, so I'll go play and I'll win. No, that's not going to happen anymore. Our times, we could get away. Good tennis player would win. But now it's not like that. Your skill is in the side. That's actually, it's funny, but the skill is the last. You need to focus more on your strength, on your nutrition, on your body, on your mind. So it's very competitive out there now.
And why do you think that has happened?
Awareness, lot of awareness, competition. So competition, it's like, before someone would say, I learn tennis, I go, I play, I win. But then, more awareness came in where people realize, okay, if I can, be stronger, I can hit more power. And hence, someone is getting stronger. And then there's someone thinking, okay, if I work on my mindset, I can be more calmer. And then someone's working on his mindset. And then you realize, like Djokovic keeps saying, right, that anybody can play a forehand and a backhand. But tennis is a mental sport. So it's mental, physical. It's more of these things now, you need to have everything. That is why I told, to make an athlete, you need a lot of resources, because you need to focus on everything except, not just the sport, not just tennis. Yeah.
Okay. So this is something that I keep hearing, that players in the 90s got away, like when you said that if they have that skill set, they just got away. Now, if we bring those talents in today's infrastructure and today's world, I often think, okay, where that person would have been.
So there are two things, right? One is the skill. So even today, there are many of the similar talents there existing who are nowhere in the sport because they're not ready to put in the work besides the sport. The other thing will come is, had those people lived today, again, they are individuals, right? So we cannot take away respect from them. You never know, they would live up to everything that the sport demands. And hence they would still be survive or what. That's a secondary, but that's a big if and but. But definitely if they're not ready to work on the other departments and they just have skill, no way you're going to survive. Out of question. Don't even waste your time trying. Yeah.
So I often see that players go abroad to train.
Yeah.
Like they will go to France for a month or two, they'll go to Spain for a month or two. What are they doing different than us?
So that's exactly what, like I told, the awareness that's coming in now here. Probably if you go years ago there, they had already been into strength and conditioning. Athletes of those eras were into strength and conditioning. They were into good nutrition. They were aware of many more things that our Indian athletes were not exposed to or aware about. Probably we didn't have resources, we didn't have coaches or nutritionists or strength and conditioning coaches who were aware in India. But as time has gone ahead, you can see that coming in here. You can see players from the West or from the countries you mentioned years ago, like you take cricket as an example. Just imagine our 1980s Indian cricket team or 1970s going and playing Australians. You know, those guys were way bigger, way stronger, way bulkier. They would thrash us with just power. Pure power would thrash us and send us. Our skill was no use. So, but of course, now you take our cricketers today, you take Virat. He's superb. He's like a rock over there.
Yeah.
So you have Yuvraj Singh. You have fitter, stronger athletes in our sport now coming. Hence, we are able to, you know, sustain. So coming back to your question of what they are doing better in Spain or whatever. Spain, for example, is like the tennis capital of the world. It's very simple. What we are trying, few coaches in India now are trying to do, like if I just give my example here, I'm trying to find a good nutritionist for my student. I'm trying to find a good strength and conditioning coach for my student. I'm trying to find a good, sports psychologist for my student. I'm trying to get all this together for him and trying to develop his all-round ability to perform as a competitor on the court. It's difficult here because, you know, now his nutritionist is in Indranagar. His tennis is in Malleshwaram. Then his fitness coach is in, say, Sanjay Nagar. So it's all spread out. And very rarely you'll find a coach and parents like us who are ready to give all this to the child and grow the child. Whereas when you go to Spain, you have everything in one center, in one unit. They have everything. The athlete doesn't have to waste time traveling. So in his, say he goes and enrolls in a certain academy there. That academy is full-fledged with a nutritionist. It has a strength and conditioning program. It has tennis program. It has a yoga program. It has a psychologist within the team. So they have everything in one place. That's the only difference, actually. Yeah.
A follow-up question: when I was doing the research, I realized that people, our Leander Pace, Sania Mirza, Rohan Bopanna, we have not. These guys are all won Grand Slams in doubles. Till date, India has not won a Grand Slam in singles. Why do you feel is that?
So the first and biggest reason is fitness.
Okay.
We Indian athletes are not able to train physically and mentally like the Spaniards, for example. You can see, like we just spoke of cricket again, you can see some athletes in cricket matching up. And that's why India is standing strong on the cricket, sport. When it comes to tennis demands height, first of all. So an average athlete of tennis should be 6'2", 6'3", which is difficult in India. In India, as yet, we don't have that height. The second thing would be strength again. Injuries. Indian athletes get injured very quickly in their career. Probably, again, we are still not yet having a full-fledged strength and conditioning, nutrition, recovery program. We are still not having a full-fledged and I would say a foolproof one.
The ecosystem is yet
not yet there, yeah. And hence the injuries and hence, tennis singles is like all about the athletics now. You see whoever's on the top, Alcaraz, Sinner, they're unreal athletes. It's when you see it, it's not even realistic. It's like, can a human actually, perform physically the way they are performing? That's a challenge.
Okay. So singles, of course, more demanding on that. But does it anything has to do with the skill set, or is just pure the physical aspect?
So in fact, skill set doubles demands more, and that's why you see Indian are very good at their skill.
Yeah.
Mahesh, you say Leander, they are gods at skill set. Bopanna is amazing. So that's why we are successful in the doubles. Probably, see, these athletes who I just mentioned who are successful in their doubles, had they had the right fitness and the right energy levels and the right guidance, they would definitely do better in their singles. I'm sure they didn't have it. Our times didn't have it, you know. Yeah, I think now you can see it coming in, so you definitely will see it in the future.
So we are still in that exponential growth
Yeah,
phase
yeah,
from that period.
yeah. The realization is kicking in
The
now.
awareness
It's
and
coming now. Yeah,
the availability of resources to
it's
this
coming now.
world. So that's something that comes up. In your career, you've been going through some injuries and
Yeah.
all. What's your recovery status on that, and how has nutrition helped you come back on it?
So mine is a clear-cut case. Like I told you, even my parents didn't know what I'm doing. Even I didn't know what I'm doing. We just knew tennis.
Huh.
I just knew tennis,
Mhm.
and I would just see some news somewhere where I would read, okay, Mary Kom does 15,000 skips, and next morning I would start doing 20,000 skips every day for a year. So I was that crazy, but I didn't have knowledge and I didn't know whom to approach. I didn't know that there's a fitness coach. There's something called a fitness coach. I didn't even know. There is something called nutrition. I didn't know. I would eat McDonald's and KFC while competing, for that matter. I would have Pepsi and Coke. So I was poor with my nutrition. I had no clue about strength and conditioning. It was only tennis. I was only banking on my skill to whatever I could do, and hence the injuries kicked in. And then post injuries, I went through a surgery. Then I went for a rehab. There I met few interesting fitness coaches, like Declan is one of them, who actually explained to me how strength and conditioning can change your life. And I actually enrolled with him. I worked on my strength and I realized, oh, okay, a human can be this strong also. I first time realized, okay, this is what is strength, you know. So that's the journey.
That's the and you have your students who are stringent with the food and workouts and the nutrition part. How have you seen their journey when they were eating whenever they want to, and now they eat as per science?
Yeah, so again, when I started as a coach, I was very sure I wanted to correct the mistakes that was happened in my journey. So I made sure I found a good nutritionist for them. I made sure I found a good fitness coach for them. So honestly, my students have been on the right path because I made sure that those things are taken care. So Casey Avinash is their strength and conditioning coach, who himself was a very good athlete and he played Ranji. So he's doing wonders with the kids. For nutritionist, of course, I'm with y'all, with Ryan sir and with you all. So y'all have taken care of their nutrition. There was a huge difference when they did their what were those tests we
The
got?
genetic test.
The genetic test, and then y'all even did some more tests, right? So those tests, when we got the results, and when y'all changed their plan, the nutrition plan based on that, I saw the kids growing suddenly, you know, like Suhas, he shot up. I'm like, okay, Indians also can grow. Yeah. So I was like, wow, okay. So that was amazing to see. So yeah, science, like you told, you guys are doing wonders with the kids. I'm enjoying this journey more because of that. It's like I visualize certain things and I'm getting it with y'all. So I'm very happy for the kids and for sports in general. Like if y'all can help Indian athletes grow like this, definitely you'll see much more. You'll even see singles Grand Slam player winning soon, you know, for sure.
Let's aim into that.
Yeah, I'm sure about it.
So when I look at, you said the growth perspective,
Yeah.
often we don't understand when players are playing into a sport.
Yeah.
They are not just one person, it's like two people. You have to eat because you have to play.
Yeah.
You have to eat because you have to grow.
Yeah.
Often we don't eat well for the growth, which is why the growth is stunted and sometimes the sport comes up.
Yeah.
So we often look at ki when the growth is like an FD in the bank.
Correct.
Body will not break it unless there is a requirement.
Correct.
So when we are fueling, we often tell them, okay, you have to fuel for both the perspectives. I think
Correct.
when that happens, we see the difference in overall athletes
Yeah, I realize that.
in their growth journey
Yeah.
and from that
Yeah.
perspective as well.
Yeah.
Now, looking at the conditioning in India,
Hmm.
the weather, the climate, the humidity, very different from what's there around the world.
Okay.
What are the usual strategies that you ask them to follow or you train them to follow that can help them place in this humid conditions, in the heaty conditions, and we have conditions different throughout the country. You go
Yeah,
to north,
yeah.
you feel a different weather.
Yeah.
Come to south, you feel a different weather.
Yeah.
So how do you cope up, or how do you train players for that?
So again, there is where the pros, like you all have to come in more than I am aware. Again, this was a mistake, like I'm a tennis coach. If you ask me this, I honestly don't even know the answer.
Okay.
Because that's a genuine thing, right? I have not studied science of what you have studied, nor am I aware of what a fitness coach is studying. All I know is how to hit the ball, where to stand after hitting the ball. So I seek these answers from y'all. However, tennis, wherever these guys are going to travel, like when you go to Australia, the Melbourne Australian Open and all, you have 40 degrees, 45 degrees. So we are not in a bad condition as such. In fact, there are worse conditions. Dubai. So tennis is played a lot in Dubai. So again, there, the conditions are worse. As far as I can understand, I just feel that I need to make them play in those, hot conditions more and more, get them used to it. If they're planning to go compete in Chennai, for example, I would like to go and stay
Couple of days more.
not even days, maybe couple of weeks.
More.
If you're serious about the competition, 2 weeks, you get into the weather, you practice there, you get into that zone, and then go for a competition. Nutrition is where you guys will have to really, and y'all are doing well. Like I remember when I went to Hyderabad, the weather was bad, and these kids, Dharmik, who's just 10-year-old, one chase is one of the secrets, I think, of you guys, which really helps. So I saw all the athletes in the under 11 tournament, all were like dead by second day or third day. I just saw Dharmik was like jumping across, and that's when I realized y'all are doing something good. All he would do is after his match call you or text you or Ryan in the evening. Y'all would give him your stuff, like, okay, do this Dharmik. That guy would religiously do it, and next day he was back on court full of energy. So so nutrition is which plays, I think this is the biggest role when nutrition is involved, weather and these kind of circumstances, how to sustain.
So that's one thing. So when you look at the weather and all, these are like something that drains you out.
Correct.
Nutrition fills you back.
Correct.
So if the tank is empty, you can't run the vehicle forward.
This is exactly what I saw in the other kids. Like all the kids were dead, they couldn't, I could see them sulking with the heat and giving up. But at the same time, Dharmik was explosive, he was moving, it didn't feel that he's drained out at all, and that's thanks to you guys for that.
Say, what's the right age for a person to start playing tennis?
As early as you can, in the sense, there's no right age, even 5, 4, 6, anytime, if the kid is ready to take instructions, starting early is important, if it's an option. If there's an option, definitely start early.
So there had a research came in between where the researchers talked about the sport which involved hand-eye coordination was more the people who play were smarter and were prone to live longer.
Okay.
What do you have to say on that?
Surely I've seen like Naidu sir himself, he would be in his 70s, and he would be at 6 a.m. sharp on court, he would be energetic. And I've seen a lot of adults, like elderly people, still playing tennis and still healthy and happy. So I guess that's true, because they're on court even now. Like even now when you go to Malleshwaram, in the morning you would see 80 plus men, hitting with each other. There's a step back tournament for these veterans held in KSLT every year. Very interesting. You would see women and men of 80, 85 participate in the tournament, and they're so happy, healthy. So I'm sure that's right.
Okay. These days, the workload is word is thrown around a lot. How is a tennis player can manage his workload with the back-to-back tournaments, travel and stuff?
I think that's the biggest challenge now. We'll have to, chalk out a plan based on the child, based on his preferences, based on his abilities. And definitely if you can focus well on his strength and conditioning and his nutrition, then you can have him playing more, which if you want to compete and hang in on your rankings, you will have to play more. There's no other option. Yeah, that's about
So,
it.
as per you, how many tournaments a person or athlete should play in a year?
Very difficult to put a number because, in fact, this debate is going on in the ATP, in the WTA, where so many athletes are complaining to the ATP and WTA that you all are conducting too many back-to-back tournaments. It's not realistic, and it's not fair, they say. But then that's the world, I think, now. It's competition everywhere. So putting a number won't make sense. Like I told you, if you can focus on their strength and their nutrition and get them fit and make sure you're not burning them out mentally and physically, the more the better. But yeah, we'll have to see to that we're not burning them out in any way.
What's the cycle goes like? The off-season cycle and the on-season cycle?
Nowadays, there's no off season. That's the
There's
funny
no
part.
off-season.
I think in almost all sports, right? Like you remember cricket, you would not see cricket for some time. But do you remember even a single day that you're owning a television and there's no match? There's a match every day. There's IPL, then there's some Ranji, or then there's ICC, and then there's Test cricket. Similarly, in tennis, there's no end now. It's like there's so many more events adding up. It's just adding and adding, and if you keep playing, you keep playing. I don't see any athlete getting a break. They play Grand Slam, post that they're playing ATP, post that they're playing the Olympics in between, and then there's no break. I don't see athletes getting a break now. So there's nothing like off season. You will have to plan your personal off season. If you as an athlete feel that that's how you want to approach it, you will have to take your own plan. Tournaments are happening non-stop, whether it's New Year, whether it's Christmas, whether it's Diwali, there's a tournament.
But what's the general guideline around it? Like,
Honestly, there is no
There's
guideline. There's this ranking, and you got to keep playing to hold on to your ranking. So there is no guideline. They want you to play more. It's commercial for them probably. So they want you to keep playing. Yeah.
all right, okay. Say I'm a parent and I want my kid to get into professional tennis. What is that I should know about?
Like I told, me and my parents had no idea what we were getting into. I would say first try to understand what you're getting into. If you're looking at making a professional athlete out of your kid, make sure you're working on his mindset. Talk to them, make sure they are aware of what they're getting into. It should be their choice. It shouldn't be forced onto them. That's very important. Because when it's a choice, then it's worth it. Otherwise, in my opinion, it's not worth it if it's not a choice of the athlete. Like I told, the other things, make sure you're working on their nutrition, their strength and conditioning, their tennis, their recovery, their physiotherapy, their sports psychology. Make sure they are developing all these at the same time and just not the skill of the sport.
Okay.
In fact, you develop all these departments of your athlete, they'll go and achieve in any sport they take part. Learning the skill is the easiest thing. If you have a good mind, if you have a good physique, if you're eating and drinking and sleeping well, if you're clear in your mind, you can just go play any sport and be successful. That's how I look at it. That's what I have realized in my journey. Hence, you see A.B. de Villiers, who's swimming. He was the champ. He was a cricket champ. He played Davis Cup for tennis. So it's just that he had all these things sorted. So you sort all this, and you have a champion. But what's the problem with parents is they make sure they go for cricket. They'll make sure they go for tennis. They make sure they'll go for badminton. But they have it's not their fault. They don't know. Even I didn't know. My parents didn't know. They're not aware that you need to fuel the child. You need to have a mindset of an athlete and a champion, which is totally lacking in kids. So yeah, getting into these things will be important.
Similarly with Alice Perry.
Yeah.
She's played football for the World Cup. She's played the World Cup and she's playing the cricket.
Exactly.
So from that perspective, like you said, it goes a long way.
True.
What are the mistakes that you feel Indian parents that make? You mentioned right now.
Yeah.
But if you have to tell them 5 things very important that you need to remember.
Yeah. First, make sure it's your child's choice. Truly your child's choice. Okay, that's very important. Second thing is, you can't club their journey to results. Don't be result oriented. It's very difficult, but very important. Do not be result oriented.
Believe in the process.
Believe in the process. Be okay with not becoming a champion. Still enjoy the process. Don't be result oriented. The major problem with sports is when parents are result oriented, because you don't do things, you can't treat a sport like a business. I'm going to wake up at this time, take my child to the tennis court or the cricket ground or the swimming pool, and then I'm going to invest this much of money and time and years, and in the end he has to win this or achieve this. It's not a business deal. You got to love the process. Let them enjoy what they're doing. Make sure you are enjoying the journey with them. That's missing. I see parents and athletes who are taking up sports professionally, I see them depressed. I see the parent depressed. I see the child depressed. I see the coach depressed. The whole team is kind of in a cloud where they're all like worried, and it's like, oh my God, it's sad to see. That has to change. You guys got to enjoy the journey. That's the only way, to approach this, the right way to approach it. So make sure it's the choice, make sure you're having fun. And then, of course, make sure you're taking care of all the departments, not just the skill of the sport, like we kept talking. Yeah, these are the basic things I would tell a parent.
You mentioned that you used to run an academy before, and then you shifted to focusing on few people and make sure that they have become the very greatest.
Yeah.
How did that shift come into?
See, honestly, when I was running an academy, I realized I wasn't making things about the child. It was more about the academy. I had staff, I had a rental, I had etc. Whatever, it became more about me, myself. I wanted to have a name of my academy and grow myself. And then I just sat back and realized this is not the way I'm going to be able to help an athlete become a real champion. And I picked up tennis coaching to make a champion, to help, rather make a champion, I would say, to help some athlete, in his journey as, the best version of myself I can give him in the journey. So I realized if the only way to do that is shut the academy, focus on a few kids who are more committed to it, and commit to them honestly. So now when I walk out or step out of my house to the tennis court, I don't think of myself. I don't think of my academy. I don't think it's only about the child. I'm honestly able to make the journey about the child, and I think that is what I wanted to do, and I'm happy I'm doing that.
Let's go through some quick rapid fire questions.
Yeah.
What's the most entertaining player that you have watched?
Nick Kyrgios.
Why is that?
Oh, that guy is amazing to watch. Like, his strokes are unreal, his abilities are unreal on the court, and he's an entertainer. Everybody knows that he would really entertain the crowd. So yeah, Nick Kyrgios.
If you have to pick up a doubles partner, who's your dream doubles partner? Who would it be?
Dreams doubles partner. Roger Federer.
Mixed?
Ayana Sablinka. I like her serve.
All right, okay. If you have to have dinner with 3 tennis players, who would you choose?
Oh, that's going to be tough. Definitely Roger. Maybe Roger, Nadal and Djokovic. It would be fun. All the 3. Yeah.
I can just imagine the 4 of us sitting together and stuff. Yeah. If you have to ask Roger one question, what would you ask him?
I don't know what I would ask him, because I would ask him how does he manage to be so balanced? Yeah. Because that's where I think nobody is able to be that balanced as him, where he managed to balance his family, his sport, his kids. Superb. And class as a sportsman on the court. Very rare you would find that. Sachin Tendulkar is another example. Yeah, but very rare to see such guys. Amazing.
Got it. Okay. You've traveled with kids, you've been to tournaments. What's one nutrition mistake that you see them happening that people in tennis players usually do?
So our kids, of course, with your instructions, they have, again, it's their choice, I'm not forcing it, or y'all are not forcing it into these kids. they are brilliant with their nutrition. They follow exactly what you have designed for them, very committed. But yes, when I go to the lunch table and all the athletes sitting around, I actually realize how much difference it makes, because I would see Dharmik, picking up his protein. I would see him picking up his fiber. I would see him picking up his salt, having his, coconut water and etc. that you have designed. And I would see other kids having just a plate of rice with fryams, and they would be having a Coke along with their food. So that's then I remember my days, how what a blunder I did.
And you see this reflects on the court when they go and play.
Definitely. Huge, very clear, very evident, not only on the court, off court also. When you see the personality of a kid who's doing the right nutrition, his awakeness, it's his presence, it's a huge difference. Obviously a huge difference.
So tennis is a game with the hand-eye coordination, the mind-muscle coordination that we always talk about.
Yeah.
What are the small things a player can do to help develop that mind-muscle coordination?
Lot of things. Chess is something which they do, and lot of course, in the fitness field where they do a lot of juggling the ball and these kind of drills, which really awaken your eye-hand coordination and your speed, agility. Yeah.
How do you envision Indian tennis growing?
Oh, we are on a good path for sure. I'm quite confident you'll see Grand Slam champions coming out of India very soon. The top Indian men's players today are doing a great job. The young juniors also, you have very good players coming up. So India is on the right path for sure. Yeah.
What would you say? 2030?
Surely, definitely, you will see, because I'm just tracking a few athletes and they're doing really well. Of course, the same process what we are trying to follow with the right nutrition and the right strength and the good mindset with the sports psychologist. There are bunch of athletes now in India who are focusing on the entire thing, and many parents, I would say, in today's generation are actually following the process of enjoying the journey and not making it result oriented, which is very nice to watch. But yes, that's still going to be in a very small percentage yet. That has to grow. I would say 5%. And those 5% athletes are where you're banking for your champion coming from, for sure.
What's one tip that you can give to young athletes on balancing their food and nutrition?
Of course, hire a professional for starters, because a professional knows better. But with what knowledge we have, obviously we're going to say focus on consuming good amount of protein and, like you mentioned, a lot of rest and not overplaying and overburning, because how much ever you're going to, you can't fuel how much you burn. So you might as well fuel and burn based on how much you're able to fuel, right? So that's what I learned from you people. Yeah.
So we often, like in India, there's a thought that I have to train more.
Yeah.
Like we often find kids doing that overtraining, and especially the kids in their 15, 16, they just want to play whole day.
Yeah.
And the focus on the nutrition or the food intake is not that much.
Yeah.
And that we see then hampering on the court or the growth for that perspective.
I was doing the same mistake even with my students, for that matter, till I learned from you all, till I met Ryan and you, till I came to Kwa, where you all educated me, where I was open to learning and understanding where I'm going wrong, I would also make them play more. I didn't know, because that's what you see around, and then I thought, okay, that's the process, that's how it has to be done. But then, yeah, that's why y'all are here. So I'm lucky to have y'all and aware now that this is how it has to be done.
How important is data? Now, in today's the top worlds, the data, the bands, the rings, the heart rate monitoring, all this has started to come. So how does this data helps you to plan a better training routine for them?
A lot. Data is everything now. If you're not working with data, then you're wasting your time, because that's competition again, right? If everyone is working with data, you better have your data, or you're just off the competition. Yeah. Data is everything now.
So what are the few key points that you look at? What are the few data points that you look at?
So again, honestly, it's the fitness coach and y'all who I'm banking on these departments. I personally don't look much. I just I make sure my athlete is coordinating with you,
Mm-hmm.
with his fitness coach, that this is what he's burnt and this is what it is, and
Mm-hmm.
you all chalk out things, and then I know what has to be done. So I just follow you guys on that. I don't make decisions there.
So,
Surrender is what I would say. I have surrendered to you all because I realize that that's not my department. I'm good at tennis coaching. Let me stick to my coaching and let me get you guys to help me with those things. Yeah.
So since you're talking about that, the importance of why the team has to be there,
Yeah.
a lot of times we feel that the support team,
Yeah.
there's an disconnect between them.
Correct.
It's the athlete who gets affected
Correct.
from that.
Correct.
So I think the talking a lot, they always researching, sharing the what they have learned from
Yeah.
them. I think
Yeah.
that environment or that ecosystem, I think it's very important to have that
Yeah. Yeah.
for an
Yeah.
athlete,
Yeah.
especially in when it's a single player game.
Yeah.
We often see when it's a team environment, the setup is there
Yeah.
because you have to take everyone together.
Correct. Correct.
But do you feel it's lacking majorly for sports where it's a single player game?
So see, one thing what I have noticed or have seen in the past is the team, like you mentioned, right? You got to pick them very carefully because, like I told, I walk out of my house today very proudly saying that I have made it about the child. It's all about the child for me. So you have to make sure his fitness coach is on the same page. Make sure his nutritionist on the same page. The moment it becomes a greed, like where say the fitness coach wants to say, I made dharmic, or then the nutritionist say I made dharmic, or I start saying I made dharmic. That's a blunder. And that's where the disconnect, and that's when things don't work. But when we have a team where we all making it about the child, and the child knows that, right? Then the child is sorted in his head. Parents are confident. So we just make sure that we make it about the child. If the team works in that manner, there'll be a good coordination. There'll be, we'll be on the right track forever. It's just that we got to keep reminding ourselves that it is about the child. And when the child achieves, it's his achievement. We're just doing our role, we're doing our job, we go home. We got to be thankful to be a part of his journey. And that's how I see it.
It's a very nice way to
Yeah,
look at it.
Yeah.
We talk about rest and recovery. We usually say that it's one of the major pillars of an athletic journey. How important do you think sleeping on time is?
Very, very important. Sleep is everything. If your athlete sleeps well, he's going to perform well. If he doesn't sleep well, he's not going to perform well. That's given. That's tried and tested.
Any incident that comes to your mind?
A lot. I have had athletes in the past, trained students who wouldn't sleep on time. They would be sluggish on the court, and I was. That's one of the reason I even closed the academy, where I didn't enjoy that energy. I wanted discipline. Without discipline, without commitment, you just cannot make a champion. It's impossible. So sleep is the most, what you say, highest. It should be kept on top of everything. For a good to make a good champion. Sleep is growth, right? You grow in your sleep. Yeah.
We when it comes to the highest level of the game, we often say that it's not the skill, it's the mindset. And when it comes to mindset, we often talk about gratitude.
Yeah.
How important thing that is?
Extremely. I keep reminding my athlete, how much ever I'm telling you, I tell you, we discussed, right? I tell it's about the child. I make sure every day he recognizes the opportunity he's getting, because that is again missing, right? We don't, as athletes, I never had value for my journey in those days. How much I regret, today if you put me back there, I'm going to be approaching it with 100 times the gratitude that I had in those days. So I try to keep reinforcing in the child, that be thankful for this journey. Like I just told, like we guys have to be thankful to be a part of his journey. I make sure he realizes how thankful he should be that he's got a Ryan sir, or a Jay sir, or Avinash sir. I make sure he's aware of that. He's got parents who are supporting this journey. So gratitude is everything. I think no gratitude. I think you have gratitude that manifests into achievement. So gratitude is everything, for sure.
We've often seen when we go travel or when we go to tournaments, visit the tournaments, people usually rely on water. just to make sure that hydrate well. And then there's the energy drinks, the sports drink, the electrolytes available. What difference have you seen in players performing when they take these electrolytes or the sports drink for that matter?
So definitely, one chase made a big difference for starters. Like I remember before Kwa, we used to depend on water, and at the most we would have coconut water. But now we take the kids are taking one chase during the game. I see them able to last much longer. It doesn't show instantly, but when a match lasts for 3 hours, there I see, okay, they're still comfortable. And that's where I think the salts do the job, as the match progresses. And then they're recovering next day also probably very faster, because they are making sure they're refueling themselves with the salts that they are losing. Water won't refuel your salts, right? So definitely, one chase is something which has been a game changer for these kids.
Got it. Okay. There was some research studies that says that even if you lose say 2% of sweat rate, your cognitive drops by about 20%.
Oh wow.
So
I didn't know this.
so if you're not fueling well during, even small difference in that can drop the brain profile, the functioning a lot more.
Yeah, actually, I have experiences. I have not heard this in the phrase you mentioned, but yeah, it's an experience I've had where the moment I'm tired, everything is collapsing, the mind is not working, and the moment you're fueled, you're like, okay. So
Yeah. And when you refuel, you often see your energized brain which is just firing again.
yeah,
Beat water, beat
Yeah.
electrolytes. You're again back to the normal, and then you
Yeah.
can able to play well.
yeah,
The mistakes happens less, I believe. The line calls and
yeah.
the decision making that goes on the court.
Yeah.
Does that an improvement that you've seen in them?
Brighter for sure. They're brighter with the salts.
Okay. All right. Okay. ठीक है. What's the best sporting advice you ever heard, received, or given?
Enjoy the journey, have fun. That's very rare, but that's the best, I think. I would even suggest anybody. Make sure, and not only the child, the parent, the coaches, the team, everyone involved in that athlete's journey. If everyone is having fun, success will be yours. But make sure you're genuinely enjoying it. Very tough, but yeah, that's the key.
What's the worst sporting advice that you have heard, received, or given?
Focus on your rankings. Make it about, you have to become this, you have to win the tournament. The moment you get into those thought processes, you're actually losing out on the real work. You focus on real work, ranking is a byproduct. Focus on your journey, your achievement is a byproduct. So, yeah, the worst thing one would say is, go and make sure you win the tournament, or make sure you're, getting top number 1 in India or number 1 in Karnataka. That's a silly approach.
So we'll go to some rapid fire rounds now. What's the most common mistake Indian parents make in tennis development?
So one is result oriented, and the second mistake is not focusing on all the departments, just focusing on the skills. So they should make sure they're focusing on the strength and conditioning, the nutrition, the sports psychologist. Try to make it an all-round development of the athlete.
What's the most entertaining player to watch?
Nick Kyrgios.
Who's your mixed doubles dreams? Who's your dream mixed doubles partner?
Ayana Sablenka. Solid serve.
Okay. Plain water or electrolytes for long matches?
Electrolytes, definitely salts are important.
Plain water or electrolytes for long events?
So, like I told, initially my athletes used to have water and coconut water, but from when we started one chase, I see them able to perform for longer. So, definitely salts, electrolytes like one chase has been a game changer for us.
What's one nutrition mistake you would advise tennis player to avoid?
Nutrition mistake is like, I see kids having a lot of oily food and sugar, too much of sugar. So definitely I would tell them to cut off that from their journey.
Okay. Paint us a picture of Indian tennis at 2030.
Definitely you're going to have good, you'll have a singles Grand Slam champion from India soon.
What's the biggest change that you expect in the tennis in the next 5 years?
Change has already started. It's a huge change. Like I told, it's as of now with the 5% of the people following things that we just discussed. So the change has begun. As people see these 5% people succeeding, I think more people will follow that. So yeah, we are on a good path, I would say.
What's one tip to young players from your end managing their nutrition and their tennis journey?
Managing?
Their nutrition
Their
and
nutrition.
their tennis journey.
Definitely seek professional advice. Definitely, that's one important thing, because there's a limited knowledge that we have. What you people are studying with your science, and individual athletes have different what do you say, approach, the way you all are approaching it with the genetic test and all. So definitely that can be the game changer for them. So that would be my advice to them.
What's the best sporting advice you have ever heard, received, or given?
Have fun, enjoy the journey. Very rare advice, but the best advice is, really make it about, a wholesome journey, a balanced, fun journey. Yeah, that's the best.
What's the worst advice you ever heard? Worst sporting advice you ever heard, received, or given?
Definitely don't chase the rankings. Don't think of, I want my son to be number one. That's the worst advice you can give a kid, Yeah.
Okay. So, in the last segment, we're doing one ritual. The previous guest has left a message for you.
Okay.
So, if you could just open up and tell your thoughts on it.
In this?
Yes.
The magic you're looking for is in the work you are avoiding. Wow. Great message. I agree. I totally agree with him or her.
Good thing. Great. So, I would like you to write one message,
Sure.
one advice, one question that
Sure.
you would like to give to the world.
Sure.
It will be only visible to the next guest. Even we
Okay.
will not have a look at it.
Okay.
Thank you so much for
Thank
being here. Where can our audience find you?
Instagram, Facebook.
All right, okay. So I'll link all the links below.
Yeah,
It
definitely.
was having fun. It gives me a lot of insights on how do we need to approach and how we can make tennis great again. Thank you, Jaidev, for being here. Thank you for sharing your insights towards the holistic approach of the tennis. Your dedication to coaching and holistic approach has definitely be the game changer in today's tennis world.